Hi everyone, Mike King from Profiling Evil. I wanted to take just a quick moment and invite you to watch this video from Australia's Sunrise team. That's the Good Morning America of Australia and Southeast Asia. I think you're going to really enjoy it because they're announcing our newest podcast series called Mapping Evil. You can go to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe and download Mapping Evil immediately. And then every Monday for the next 9 weeks, there'll be a new episode released. I hope you enjoy this cut from yesterday's news.
And profiling criminals, cracking open some of the world's most baffling cold cases. Now Mike King is re-examining unsolved Australian murders.
He's uncovered the untold story surrounding Melbourne's Mr. Cruel, the murder of Betty Shanks in Queensland and Adelaide's Beaumont children.
Mike King is the man who solves the unsolvable, expert author in violent crimes and YouTube star.
I spent a career investigating, interviewing, and profiling violent offenders.
One of his most high-profile cases was saving a group of women from a notorious religious cult called the Zion Society, which had been sexually abusing children. The survivors were reunited on Dr. Phil.
Who knows where we would have ended up had he not done what he did.
Wow.
After breaking open some of the world's most baffling cold cases, Mike set his sights on Australia's unsolved murders, from Melbourne's Mr. Cruel to the disappearance of schoolgirl Bung Siriboon and the missing Beaumont children in Adelaide. He's teamed up with journalist Tory to release a chilling new podcast called Mapping Evil, which delves deeper into the country's terrifying true crime than ever before.
Wow, Mike King joins us now. Good to have you aboard this morning. Thank you. Tell us how you've been able to solve these unsolvable cases over the years. What do you do differently to the authorities?
Well, it's great to be with you, and I think the real secret is law enforcement solving these. What we do when we add this behavior or profile is we take the traditional forms of evidence that law enforcement is so well equipped to manage, forensic evidence, physical evidence, those kinds of things, and we set it on a shelf for just a short season while we look at the case from a behavioral perspective. And as we do that and start to study who the victim is and why they became a victim, it helps us to then start to make that stretch over as we look at these huge pools of possibilities and say who's most probably responsible.
Okay, so Mike, your podcast looks at some notorious Australian cold cases. Are you confident these cases can be solved too?
Well, I have such great confidence that over time, it isn't necessarily an enemy to these cases. People get the courage to step forward after they mature in life. DNA is a perfect example of how forensics can improve over time and help us in solving these cases. So, yeah, I have great confidence that these can be solved.
Okay, something like the Beaumont children there that we're just seeing there have baffled people for a generation. What can you do about that? What have you found out?
You know, I think the most important thing we can do, Koshi, is we can keep these things in the public eye. Keep reminding people that there's possibilities that you saw something or remembered something or maybe have held very close something that you haven't dared share and come forward. And then it really relies on law enforcement having things like evidence still that can be processed as new technologies roll forward. But it's really about exposure and getting people to step forward.
You spent some time, Mike, in Queensland investigating the murder of Betty Shanks. What drew you to that particular case?
Well, I've been fortunate to work with, I think, in every state in Australia over the years with law enforcement, and I spent a lot of time in Brisbane area, and so I really got attracted Betty Shanks case because it's the coldest case in that area, and it just infuriates me when I see these wonderful people who have their lives cut short. There are things about this case in particular that were really intriguing to me regarding the crime scenes.
Well, it is absolutely fascinating. Love your didgeridoo in the background. You've obviously got an affinity to Australia, so can't wait for the podcast. Thanks, Mike.
Well, thank you for having us on. You're great people.
Now, the first episode of podcast Mapping Evil is out today.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, I really want to thank Sam and Kashi for doing this interview yesterday on national news throughout all of Southeast Asia and particularly in Australia. I hope you'll go to the podcast platform that you like and download Mapping Evil. You're going to really enjoy it. Make sure you subscribe, and while you're doing that, would you please subscribe to Profiling Evil on your favorite podcast platform. Again, thanks so much for all your support, and have a great day. We'll see you on the next crime scene.